The reason why I love my job is I get to see better outcomes. I get to see adult burn survivors that were isolated that are now counselors at our camp, and not only helping younger kids, but helping themselves. I learned 3 things in the fire service. 1, bad things happen. 2, good things can happen if somebody says we're going to change it. And 3, it takes a community. It takes a family.
Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion are simple: to highlight the incredible nonprofits that make our communities stronger. Each episode is a chance for these organizations to tell their story in their words, sharing not just what they do, but why it matters to the people they serve, to their supporters, and to all of us who believe in the power of community. Through podcasting, we hope to amplify their voices, inspire connection, and give them one more tool to impact the hearts of donors, partners, and neighbors alike. Our work is made possible through the generous support of our partners. Cap Trust, offering fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Western Health Advantage, a local, not-for-profit health plan that believes healthcare is more than coverage. It's about caring. CORE, executive leadership and comprehensive support services. They work in it so you can work on it. And Five Star Bank, a local, trusted advisor to community nonprofits for over 25 years. Our episode sponsor is Sacramento Venture Philanthropy, a community of generosity combining people, expertise, and capital for good. This episode, I sit down with Joe Pick, Executive Director of the Firefighters Burn Institute and a 30-year veteran of the fire service, for a conversation that's as powerful as it is personal. Many of us know and love our firefighters. We see them at community events. We pass them on the road. We support the annual Fill the Boot drives. But what many people don't realize is that behind those boots stands a nonprofit born from tragedy. A 1972 plane crash in Sacramento that claimed lives and exposed a heartbreaking reality. Our region had no burn unit to care for survivors. Out of that moment came action. Within a year, the Firefighters Burn Institute was formed. Shortly after, Sacramento had its own burn unit, and what started as a response to crisis has grown into a comprehensive continuum of care, from emergency response to long-term survivor support. Joe shares how the Institute now serves hundreds of burn survivors and families each year, through pediatric and adult programs, Little Firefighters Kids Camp, mental health services, survivor gatherings, and partnerships that stretch across the country. One of the most moving parts of our conversation centers around the idea of sacred ground, the safe space created for families to process trauma, grief, guilt, and recovery. We also talk about the culture of the fire service, the power of peer support, and why mental health access is one of the Institute's greatest current needs. This episode is about resilience. It's about what happens after the sirens stop and the smoke clears. And it's about a community that refuses to let survivors heal alone. If you've ever dropped $1 in a firefighter's boot, this conversation will show you exactly where that impact goes. Joe Pick, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks. It's nice to be here.
And it's an interesting discussion we're going to have because I think everybody understands they're firefighters. They know that exists. But I'm sure the majority of people don't know that there's a Firefighters Burn Institute. And we need to learn a little bit more about that. There was an incident here in Sacramento at a Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor in 1972 where a plane crashed into this ice cream parlor that was full. And that was kind of the genesis of this organization. But it's grown so considerably now into, even I didn't realize when we started the conversation that this has become a national organization. And you have deep ties not only to the firefighters across the country, to the burn victims, but to also survivor aftercare.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what happened after that incident in the ice cream parlor.
Again, it was in 1972, the largest air-to-land collision in the country's history at that time. Talking to the firefighters, it was the worst call they had ever been on. Over 23 people died, and over 20 people had burn injuries. A firefighter and his family, 8 members of his family perished that day. There was one Sac City firefighter. He was on duty that day. He didn't, because he was downtown, he didn't actually respond to that. But he realized that we were having to transport these burn survivors all over the place, down to the Bay Area, to Houston, out of the area, because we had no burn unit in Sacramento. And he said that that was unacceptable. And so within a year, he formed the organization under our local 522, which is our governing board and our local union. And within a year after that, we had a burn unit in Sacramento, which is pretty incredible, the hoops you have to go through to make that happen. And that was the initial goal. And actually about 15 years later, Shriners came to Sacramento because of the level of care that UC Davis had to partner so that they could do pediatrics, and then UC Davis could focus on adults. After that, he realized he wanted to get, there was more that we could do. He always lived by that vision. What is next? Which I think is in the heart of a firefighter. And so we started looking at prevention programs and specifically aftercare programs, because what we realized is when a burn survivor comes out of the hospital, their journey's just begun. They've gone through a lot of procedures, grafts, a lot of care, but that journey beyond the hospital and the return visits that they continue to have to do was significant in their care. And so we started establishing programs for the aftercare burn survivors.
So it just continued. It just cascaded. Once you got one thing started, the next thing came along, and the next thing came along. And here you are now, really from rescue all the way to survivor care.
Yes.
Which is a spectrum of continuum that you just don't typically see with an organization.
Well, and it continues what we say in the fire service. When you're part of our family, we always refer to our fire service family. We spend a third of our lives with our brothers and sisters in the firehouse. And so we take that same concept with the community. When you're a part of this community, you're a part of this community for life. And so there's individuals I've known as little kids that are now adults and pay it back forward to come back to be counselors, to be support for that next generation, because they've been through it. They know what it's like. And that family just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Joe, what are some of the programs that you see most utilized? Because you've got a variety of programs. If you go to the website, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you provide a lot of service. Are there a handful that are most demanded or most often used?
I think the two that are nearest and dearest to my heart and two of our most successful ones is Little Firefighters Kids Camp, which started about 32 years ago. We specifically did not want to refer to it as a burn camp. And we do about 50 kids that come to that camp. And these are the kids, it's 6 to 17 years old. And they come to the camp, and then when they graduate at 17, we encourage them to come back as counselor in training. And it's really about helping them with their life skills, maturing and figuring out what their journey is as young adults. And it allows us to keep them close-knit. I would say the other one is, and at the time it was a program that had never been done to our knowledge in the country, and it's called Little Heroes. And it's a family camp. And it's for burn survivors 6 years old and younger. So you can imagine these are littles, and very common, just simple accidents, pulling a hot water pot on them or tripping into a campfire while they're camping. And so we addressed it as a family trauma. And so we take the littles, as we call them, and teach them how to respond when kids can be cruel, how to deflect their, I had an accident, but I don't want to talk about it. Give them that strength and that courage to be able to respond and hold their head up high. Then we take the siblings and make sure the siblings realize that they're not lost in the shuffle too. Often when there's a traumatic illness or injury, that focus from the family is on that individual. And we want to make sure the siblings don't feel like they're left out. And we let them know that you are a part of this trauma too. This was a family trauma. But the most impactful part of it is our adult sessions with whoever their guardians are, grandparents, parents. And getting into a room, I call it sacred ground, because when they're in that room, we give them their space. We have 2 licensed clinicians, mental health care clinicians, to work through their grief, their guilt, and let them know that they're not alone. And so many of those families come back a second year and a third year, and they become the mentors for that family that is there the first year. And we do about 10 families every year for that. And it's amazing. That's really the camp that got me hooked 20 years ago, me and my wife.
Well, I can see certainly for the children to have that camp, to recognize that they're not alone. For sure, there's other people like you, other people who have similar experiences, other children going through the same things, and they get to play and be kids or young adults as they should be.
Right.
Because there's not that stigma of, I'm so different. As a matter of fact, I'm sure there's situations where they see others and go, oh my gosh, I thought I was rough, and I don't have it anywhere near as bad as so-and-so or whoever that might be. And it's funny that you brought back that same comment of not alone with the parents, to where that parent grouping is so essential, because I'm sure you feel, yes, the guilt and the stigmatized, and now your child and what happened. Every parent is going through that. Now you can share that with other parents, because that's not something you can talk about at the neighborhood picnic. It just doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, you probably alienate yourself from it because you don't want to participate for all those reasons.
We had a year, there's a couple of moments that touch my heart. And this one I see quite frequently, and it's usually the husband. And this was a big kind of burly guy, and with his body language. And I got it. It was like, I'm here because my wife told me we needed to be here. And he came out to me, and he looked me straight in the eye, and he said, you know what I learned in there? I learned if I didn't handle my shit, I was never going to be able to help my kid with theirs. And he told everybody that would listen. A light went on that, we all go through stuff, and that he needed to be in a better place so he could be there for his kid. And then another one was a lady that her second or third year to camp, she was a single mom, and something powerful happened in that room, because I saw all the parents and the counselor come out with tears in their eyes. And I don't ask. It's not my business. I don't want to know what that sacred ground in there. And all the counselor told me was this individual told the real story of what happened. And she'd never told that story to anybody. And just that weight off. And again, I don't have no idea what the story is, but she felt comfortable to share that. And these parents become lifelong friends and rely on each other. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, that's that psychological safety, because you're amongst a group of peers.
Yeah.
And nobody else is going to understand that, especially if you're carrying the burden of guilt, in many cases, as it would be, to share, or maybe it was just an accident that was caused by, even worse, to where you need that catharsis at some point. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable the rest of your life. Yeah. You're providing an outlet for that. Tell me about collaboration. Who do you work with? What other organizations do you work with?
I want to clarify what you said, that we've gone national. We are still a Sacramento-based charity, but our partnerships are what is national and international. We partner with Canada. We get kids that come from Mexico. We have adults that come from the East Coast to our events. And the way we're able to do that is to partner with different foundations. The Phoenix Society, which is a national organization for burn survivors, is probably one of our bigger partners, because they have connections with different burn foundations throughout the country and worldwide. But our smaller connections within the state, Alicia Ann Rouge, Bakersfield's Firefighter, San Jose Firefighters, what we do is it's because Sacramento serves such a wide area of people, with Shriners taking people from all over the country and beyond, UC Davis serving such a lot of times they come into those hospitals and then they go home to Southern California or Arizona or Oregon or wherever they're from. And having those relationships with those other foundations, we can connect with them and say, hey, we've met this person. They were up here for a while and now they're coming home. I want to connect with the resources and the programs that you have down there. And they're still eligible to come to our programs, and we figure out ways for transportation to get them here.
Well, what's beautiful about that, that's a nice handoff. So you don't get left
Yeah.
Okay, now we're out of the hospital. Now what?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Or I understand the medical side of things, but is there anything more? Because there certainly is more than just the medical side of a burn.
Right.
There's the emotional and the trauma, the family, everything, all the way into the school system, depending on how that individual is going to be reintegrated after the tragedy.
Right.
So back to
Okay.
collaborators, people that you work with. Who are some of the organizations that you see? You mentioned Shriners already, UC
Right.
Davis.
UC Davis, International Association of Firefighters. It's union firefighters from all over the country and Canada. We send our kids out to a camp for them. We help support. We just did a donation for them for firefighters with injuries so bad that they have prosthetics or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Colorado. And so just staying connected with different, like I said, Phoenix Society, they every 2 years do a World Burn Congress where they bring burn survivors from all over the world. We sponsored over 23 people to go there and then had outreach from different foundations that said, we have an individual that really wants to go and we've tapped our budget. And so we look at ours and go, okay, we can, if you can, pay for the registration, we'll pay for the flight. So, and specifically because we are a fire service, fire departments throughout the state and beyond, Oregon, Nevada, pretty much West Coast, in regards to connections with the fire departments. And they do satellite boot drives for us. They communicate to their community when they go on a call and they see there's a burn survivor, being an advocate for us and letting them know the programs that are available to them. So that's a huge part of it.
Do you find interest? I'm sure Ronald McDonald House and Kiwanis House and things like that, because you have families that come here also participate and support. But do you find opportunity or engagement with any of the, let's say, the child services organizations? I'm thinking like maybe a UC, United Cerebral Palsy or a foster youth or.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So, as you know, I did Fast Pitch a while ago. I coached somebody for Fast Pitch.
Which I will say is, for those who don't know, that's the Sacramento Venture Philanthropies program to support nonprofits here in Sacramento.
And it's twofold program. It's one, getting nonprofits together because, we align sometimes, and then finding donors to learn about our programs. That outlet, certainly in this region, has been amazingly helpful. Like you say, with the kids, working with different organizations in South Sacramento, Oak Park, some lower economic areas that their lane is to, take care of families or, foster them. And what we've found is that by communicating to them that if in your world, you're going to find some of your population are going to have a burn injury.
Yep.
When we find that out, or you find that out, let us know so that we can help them because that's our lane. As a nonprofit, we got to stay true to our mission statement, but we are able to also do that in reverse. We'll have a burn survivor and see that they're struggling with food insecurity or housing. And so working with Red Cross and working with these different organizations and connecting with them and saying, hey, here's what we're doing on our lane, but they need help in your lane, and connecting it. It's been amazing, the partnerships with these nonprofits, because we all have our lane, our mission, but those lanes intersect.
They cross over so often. Right. Yeah, that's great to hear. And that's what I was looking for, because I knew there was more interconnectivity just by virtue of the fact that in many cases you're dealing with children. So that's a big deal. If somebody was really passionate about this situation, maybe a former firefighter who's done well in a stock market, comes and says, hey, Joe, I really like this. I want to give you a blank check to do something. What would you do with it?
It's a great question, because I try to live. I've been in this job now 6.5 years, and I have a picture of our founder on my office wall that I look at every day because he had a vision of what is the next. In the time I've been there, we've been able to add different programs, young adult retreats, try to capture our teenage and young adults and try to keep them on the right path, and direct them. The biggest thing that I see right now is better access to mental health care.
Mhm.
And that is such a tough lane to do just for any of us working through insurance companies. And so we've started budgeting money to be able to get them the resources and vetting out mental health care clinicians that have a specialty in trauma. And some of them specifically burn trauma. Maybe they were a burn survivor that went into that field to help others. And to have those resources, my vision is to be able to have a minimum of $1,000 per person just starting out. For $1,000, I could get, with the right partnership, $100 a visit, that we could get 10 visits out there, because they have to be enough visits that you don't just rip the Band-Aid off and then leave them hanging. But I know that there's going to be people that's really going to start their mental health journey, but they need that continued and don't have the resources for it. That is probably the biggest program. And like I said, we've started it. We have made referrals and been able to start that. What we ask is that they come to our group meetings. We have online programs where burn survivors get together, and we have other gatherings. We want to see that they're trying to get out and be a part of that community. But when they reach out to us and go, I'm really struggling, to be able to have that here. You don't have to worry about insurance. We've got you covered. And do these 10 and then come back. Let us know how it's going. Is the counselor a right fit for you? Is it working? Is it helping? And then you be able to extend that. And right now, finance-wise, that's a big chunk to do.
And your budget's a little over $1 million, right?
Yes.
Okay, so a fairly good-sized organization, and you have a diverse spectrum of services you provide. So it could be helping somebody with a prosthetic. It could be mental health side. It could be travel to service.
Yes.
I mean, a variety of different things. How many people a year can you service, or how many people a year do you think you touch?
That's a hard one because you got to add up. You figure 50 kids at kids camp, 10 families, which is usually 50 or 60. So I'd say easily 500 people that we touch in a year. 2 nights ago, I just had an opportunity. My sister runs the Sacramento History Museum, and they were doing the West End Blues. And she said, I have some open seats. And so I got 10 burn survivors to come out for an outing. Sometimes the city of Sacramento, they have a suite at Golden One, and if it's not being utilized, we're kind of at the top of their list. I can get 24 people there, and we've gone to a Kings game, a concert. Just those little gatherings, getting that community is so rewarding for me to see. But watching these burn survivors interconnect and getting out of their house, some of our burn survivors tend to isolate themselves a lot. So being able to have the resources to have more of those type events where I can, pay for 50 people to, go to a concert, go to a game, go to an outing, it would be extremely beneficial.
And I'm going to give a shout out to your sister, Delta Pickmello.
Yeah.
And she is the Sacramento Historical Society as well, which we did an episode that was unbelievably educational, tutorial.
Yeah.
And really, really enjoyed it and continues to do well to this day. So interesting you both are in service in our community. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more from Joe Pick of the Firefighters Burn Institute right after we hear from those who make this program possible.
I'm James Beckwith, President and CEO of 5 Star Bank. We're dedicated to supporting nonprofit organizations who advocate for the strength, resilience, and vitality of those they serve. When nonprofit organizations thrive, our community does too. By supporting the Nonprofit Podcast Network, 5 Star Bank is amplifying the voices and meaningful impact of our nonprofit community. We're 5 Star Bank, a trusted nonprofit partner. How can we help you?
We are really excited to be part of the family and contribute to the work that you all are doing. CORE provides fractional and interim executive services, along with comprehensive back office solutions that go into our client sites and do the work to give them the capacity they need in order to move through transitions, whether that's planned or unplanned. Or companies also work with our accounting and finance, back office solutions, human resources, technology, and administration. The reason why our back office solutions add value is because we save them time and money, anywhere from 20 to 30% of what they would spend on that back office solution. We work in it so they can actually work on it. CXORE.com and contact me directly at DTEAT@CXORE.com.
If you're interested in learning more about how CORE may help your organization, visit CXORE.com.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
At Western Health Advantage, healthcare isn't just a service. It's a shared value. As a nonprofit leader, you need a health plan that understands the importance of mission-driven work. Western Health Advantage is a local, not-for-profit health plan that supports organizations like yours with affordable, flexible coverage options for your team. But what truly sets them apart is their commitment to community, supporting nonprofits like the American Heart Association, Sacramento Ballet, and the Crocker Art Museum's Pay What You Wish Sundays. With access to top-tier providers and dedicated local support, Western Health Advantage is more than a health plan. It's a partner in your purpose. Explore your options today at westernhealth.com. Western Health Advantage, healthcare with heart, designed for those who give back.
Hi, I'm Brad Squires, CEO of Sacramento Venture Philanthropy. For more than a decade, SVP has brought together local donors, business leaders, and nonprofit changemakers to do philanthropy differently. Through pooled funding, hands-on mentorship, and programs like Fast Pitch and 100X, SVP helps nonprofits build real, long-term capacity, not just short-term solutions. If you're looking to go beyond writing the check and want to use your experience, your voice, your leadership to create a lasting impact and have a lot of fun doing it, now is the time to join SVP. Learn more about becoming a partner at svpsacramento.org.
Single greatest need today as you look at the organization. What is it?
It's really connecting with our burn survivors, I think, and that it's more, you need money to run a nonprofit. You need word of mouth to get donors. We have a great deal of programs, but every time I hear about a burn survivor that was burned 10 years ago and had no idea that we even existed, it breaks my heart. And really getting that word out to that community, because you can all have all the programs in the world. And then if you're not servicing that community, or you hear about somebody, I think I mentioned earlier to you a prime example of my wife meeting an individual and was telling her about the fact that this is what I do. I volunteer. My wife teaches nursing at ARC, and finding out that person was a burn survivor at an early age. This person was in their mid-20s and knew nothing about our programs. And to know that they didn't know about programs as kids and adults that could have helped with their journey, I think that's the biggest thing. And that's what I try to do. We just had our boot drive, and people are very...
And for the benefit of those who don't know what a boot drive is, many people will listen to this and go, what the heck is a boot drive? Walk us through it.
Sunrise and Greenback, we've been doing it for 32 years, and it is our biggest fundraiser that we do. And we're out on the streets with firefighters that are off duty with their boots. It's Fill the Boots for Burns. It is our mission, and it has become one of our biggest fundraisers that we do. And we were out there for 4 days, and 2 of our firefighters, our 3rd generation of firefighters, stay in the tower all 4 days and only come down at the end. But what I hear all the time from even events like that is people are like, you know what, we love our firefighters. We want to support our firefighters. And yes, our programs, we have programs specifically for firefighters because We do get burned, more often than not. But to communicate to the community that, yeah, that's a lane. That's a really narrow lane that we have. We do so much more, and that we're actually here for burn survivors throughout the community. That, to me, is our biggest goal, obviously, in getting the funds that we need.
Sure. It's just that awareness. How do people come to you? How do they know you exist? Referral?
Yeah, through UC Davis. And I want to do a little clarification because so UC Davis, the burn unit at UC Davis, is the Firefighters Burn Institute Regional Burn Center at UC Davis. It has that name because of the donations we have done for that. Over 10 years ago, we gave them over $1 million for their last expansion. They're looking at expanding within 3 to 5 years. They should have their expansion, and we will continue to support that, probably more in actual equipment that they need, but that we are two different entities. That burn unit is UC Davis, but it has our name on it because we support them. The advocates, we have a member, an outreach coordinator specifically for patients getting discharged that's on our board.
Great.
So they advocate. Shriners, we have an individual that works at Shriners as well that's on our board. And it really starts at that ground level. The PT, the OT person, the wound care person, that as they're in the hospital, hey, have you heard about this organization? They got some great resources, and there's all, depending on your age, your needs, they can fit that. But again, those partnerships that we have throughout the country. Oregon Burn Unit is another prime example. They came down. They heard about our little heroes. They actually paid for a nurse to come to the weekend retreat, and they send families down to us. They pay for their transportation. We take care of them.
Wonderful.
That they're there. And again, because we do not geographically bind ourselves, American Burn Association, that happens every year. I go out to that every year, wear our brand, and communicate to people that, we have these events, and that if they can get out to it, we cover all the costs for it. So I think that's really, it's word of mouth, and really with any medical or trauma situation, it's that one-on-one person that goes, you know what, I heard about this, or another burn survivor. We have burn survivors that will go into the hospital that can connect with those people on a level that I can't. I'm not a burn survivor.
Experiential, right?
Right. And say, hey, this really helped me. And one of the programs we have, it's called BurnNet. And pre-COVID, we did it once a month live in location. With COVID, we had to go virtual.
Sure.
Yes, you well know how that was game changer because now we have them every week.
Yep.
And so what you'll see is that person at home, log onto the computer, maybe not turn the mic on, maybe not turn the camera on, but they're listening. And then the next time, maybe they're asking a question. And then the next time, maybe they're putting the camera on. And it opens up that door that they realize that they're part of that community. We also we try to do it about once a month where it is the care providers, because the spouse, the parent that's handling or dealing with the patients, they're going through their own struggle as well, and giving them a platform. You made reference to it of they're not able to communicate their issues. The analogy I give is a wife that it's a platform that she can say, my husband's just a pain in my butt right now. And because of the struggles he's going through, it gives her that platform, and other spouses, other parents go, I know exactly what you're going through, and you're doing the hard work as well, right alongside that burn survivor.
Yeah, it's that been there, done that, we can help.
Exactly.
Which is so important in so many of these trauma situations, because most people don't experience it. Fortunately, most people don't. But when you get it's a situation where you can be amongst peers, it's game-changing, it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you realize, back to that earlier part of the conversation, you're not alone.
Yeah.
There are other people who have been there who can help. And the great news is you exist. The challenge is to get you the awareness that you exist out there for all these other people who don't know and could really benefit from it. Let me ask you a question, because you're a former firefighter. How long were you?
30 years in the fire service, retired from Metro Fire as a captain almost 10 years ago.
Thank you for your service so much. Appreciate that.
It was an honor. One of the top 3 decisions I ever made, marrying my wife, the fire service, and now leading this organization. And so, retired for that, and kind of figured out what I wanted to do. And then the opportunity came to run the Burn Institute about, 6.5 years ago. And I jumped in and
we're so glad. We're so glad you're here. In this role, the tough part is you're seeing your brothers who are coming out of situations in some cases, and some really catastrophic sometimes. You see children, you see families. It can be heavy, over time. What do you do to relax? What does Joe do? What's his escape?
I was asked that by one of the gals at UC Davis, and to this day it sticks in my head because I wasn't able to answer it directly. It took me a while. I'll say this about the fire service and this particular job. It is one, in the fire service we see a lot, and we're getting so much better with the peer support and recognizing that the old days of suck it up, kid, bad things happen, it's just not working. And so we've gotten much better about that. I'm an active peer supporter with our local. We have one of the largest regional peer supports, not only in Sacramento County, Placer County, Yolo County, where firefighters get together with clinicians. So we're doing much better. But what I recognized in that job as our safety barrier is that we transport them to the hospital. And then we leave. We don't usually get a lot of follow-up. With HIPAA regulations, we can't get a lot of information anyway. So we just go, all right, we've done what we can, and I've done the best for them, and now I've passed them off to a higher level of care. What I learned on this job real quickly is you get into the weeds. I learned their stories.
Oh, very different from firefighting service where you're passed off. Here, you're engaged and involved. Yes.
An individual that I took to IAFF, I'll never forget it. He told me his story because we don't ask. That's one of the things, that's one of our ground rules. We do not ask a person how they got burned because if they share it with us, that's a gift that they have given us. This one's a little rough on me because it was really the first time he told me what happened. He told me what happened to his brother, his sister, his other brother, what actually happened, and I never knew that story. So those are hard days, but what I will tell you is what feeds my soul, and I'll touch into the outside, but the reason why I love my job is I get to see better outcomes. I get to see adult burn survivors that were isolated that are now counselors at our camp, and not only helping younger kids, but helping themselves. A friend of mine, James, he was an adult burn survivor. He got involved with one of our camps, and now he's all in. And I see how it helps with his healing. That I try to focus on because I know bad things happen. I learned 3 things in the fire service. 1, bad things happen. 2, good things can happen if somebody says we're going to change it. And 3, it takes a community. It takes a family. And so I think that's what inspires me. I think the other thing that I do and the flexibility I have with this job is after 30 years in the fire service and missing birthdays or Christmas or being out on a strike team for weeks, missing so much with my own kids, I have vowed, I have 5 grandkids, that I'm not missing a baseball game. I am not. They're going camping. I'm going camping with them. My phone is 24/7. I can handle a lot from there, but being with my family, with my kids, our extended family. I have a 16-year-old in the house now, and he's a burn survivor. I've known him since he was a little kid. His circumstances were such that he needed some guardianship. He needed a place, and he is now my son. And so doing things with my family is probably what fills my cup up.
Fantastic. And that's a great way to relax. I would suggest the same. And too many times we do get wrapped up in our jobs and our roles, and we forget that that's also part of it. Providing is one thing, but being a part of it is the other thing.
Yeah.
And you can do one without the other. And unfortunately, I think too many times we do. Right. And somebody, suffers the consequence of that. So I love what you just said. That was very cool. And sadly, I can relate to some of it, and I'm not a firefighter.
I think we all can do that. We get tunneled into our jobs and, our careers, and life goes by quick. Right. And in the fire service, you see too many people that left us too soon. And so I think my wife is a former ER nurse. We get that. And we understand that life is short and we're not going to miss those little moments that matter.
Well, coincidentally, we had somebody in here just before you today talking about the American River Parkway Foundation. What a beautiful piece we have to relax, to enjoy, to experience, and how few people know about it. And it's just that reality of life.
Yeah.
We get going too fast sometimes. How do people find out about the organization? What's the best way to learn and get the information if they want to participate, or if they know of a situation where somebody's experienced a burn and they want to get them involved?
All right, starting with our website, ffburn.org. It's easy to remember, and it really has. We just revamped our website to really be able to show visually what we're doing for all age groups. Again, we do not geographically bind ourselves. We have for everything from newborns to the elderly that are a part of our community. And getting connected with us. Valerie at our office does all of our programs. And I'm constantly saying, give us your email address. And if you get a letter from Valerie at ffburn.org, open it up, because you never know what it is. And some of our things that we have, we had a rodeo that was down there that the sponsor of the rodeo, we were going to be the beneficiary. So, we got a bunch of tickets for that. And, when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
So that's a good starting point. Our social media platforms right now, the gal that's doing our marketing really understands social media way better than an old guy like me does, and it tries to get that out. They just did a video from our boot drive, and we had 40,000 hits off of it.
Amazing.
I'm like, wow. So paying attention to where, again, on social media, but the web, especially if you're a burn survivor or know somebody that's a burn survivor, go to that site, because there's the avenues for donation, there's avenues for volunteerism, and there's avenues for the services we provide. And I think those are really the three main lanes as a nonprofit. You got to raise the money to serve the people. You need donors to do that. And then that community, and making sure that they are aware of it. What I've seen with burn survivors is that, and I'm actually doing a presentation at ABA with a collaboration with a couple, Phoenix Society, Arizona.
ABA is what?
American Burn Association.
Thank you.
It's an annual conference specifically for burn care. So burn doctors, here's the latest and greatest. I will tell you, burn care is changing literally by the day. What they're doing now is phenomenal. But the presentation we're doing is about how to connect with those burn survivors. Every foundation, every burn unit in the country and beyond finds that as a hurdle for them, because there's a sweet spot with burn survivors. Figure a burn survivor comes in, UC Davis or Shriners. Try to give them the information, then they're overwhelmed. Their kids in their hospital, their spouse, their dad's in the hospital. They're overwhelmed. They're just trying to figure out where their journey is. Then when they get discharged, then here's all your discharge information. And then reality hits with trying to take care of them at home, wound dressing changes and things like that. And so finding that, everybody's different, finding that spot where they want to reach out and connect. And that's why I referenced our burn net. It's just an easy way to go, I want to see who that community is. All right, I'll log in, and all of that information is on our website.
And we'll put that in the show notes too, so it's easy for somebody who's listening and doesn't want to have to remember. It'll be down there. They can just click right on it and make it really simple. Matter of fact, I'll see if I can get some of the links to that video too.
Okay.
To repurpose it, because it's fun if you haven't seen or experienced a boot drive. We happen to be 2 blocks away from where that takes place, having nothing to do with our conversation, because it came through organically in a different route. But I've been seeing this thing for years, and it is amazing. If you've not seen what it looks like, it is absolutely amazing. And to think you raise hundreds of thousands of dollars each year through a boot drive, people just dropping a couple of bucks in a boot. And
it used to be about a quarter of our budget, still about in that range. Then another quarter of that comes from all these fire departments up and down the state in Nevada that do what we call satellite boot drives. So they do a 1 or 2 day event, nothing on the scale. If you see it, we got a whole base camp. We got RVs. It's like asphalt camping.
Yeah, hook and ladder, ladders extended. It's a lot of fun.
With the boot hanging from it. But these departments, little departments, coming up and doing a 1 or 2 day boot drive and raising $20,000 for us. And again, getting the word out to their community that we're doing this for programs that will serve people in their community. And that's collectively, they come to about half of our budget that we have.
And that's, I think, testament to what you do. It's great. It's a great place to wrap here because you are so community. You are community. We rely on you. The good news is we don't have to use you every day. And the majority of people will never have to lean on the fire department or have a situation where they're experiencing fire in the home, and even less yet, trauma from burns. So that's the beauty of it. The reality of it is it still does happen. And you're here for us. You're here when that need occurs. You and your team with the Firefighters Burn Institute are there, and the platform extends throughout the country, basically. If the need is there, you're able to support to the degree that you can. So hopefully through this conversation, it's just one of those pieces that helps get that word out again to another organization or another person that you are there, so that when something does happen, they go, wait, I heard something. I know there's something out there. We can find it. And if we do nothing else, we've succeeded by doing that. And to you and your team from 1972 forward, I mean, my goodness, that's a mature organization. To have grown to this extent, that's a lot of work too. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service as a firefighter as well. And we appreciate you all.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. When we first met, and we met through a mutual friend, it's my lane. It's my job to do these type of things. And so it's always an honor to me to do them. But having an opportunity on the platform like this has been great. And I appreciate it. I appreciate what you do, getting the word out. Specifically, what you do is promoting nonprofits and getting that word out to all the amazing things that human beings in this region and beyond are doing for others is phenomenal. So thank you for what you do.
I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. We hope today's episode inspired you and gave you a deeper look into the work of our local nonprofits. If you believe in our mission to amplify their voices, please take a moment to leave us a positive review and share this episode with a friend. It helps more people discover the incredible work happening in our community. Don't miss future episodes. Subscribe to our weekly updates and monthly newsletter at nonprofpod.com. And if you're a part of a nonprofit that would like to be featured, we'd love to hear from you. Just visit the Guest tab on our website. The Nonprofit Podcast Network is recorded and produced at Hear Me Now Studio with generous support from our partners, CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations, online at captrust.com. Western Health Advantage, local care with community impact. Find the plan that fits at westernhealth.com. CORE, executive leadership and comprehensive support services. Visit cxore.com. And 5 Star Bank, a local trusted advisor to community nonprofits for over 25 years. 5starbank.com. And finally, our episode sponsor, Sacramento Venture Philanthropy, a community of generosity combining people, expertise, and capital for good. svpsacramento.org.